And welcome to another episode of Judgment Day, where we basically take Reddit posts and we judge them. It's great. It's fun. I mean, it's a way to gossip without really hurting anybody because it's Reddit. Who cares? Joining me, Logan Molnar, also known as producer extraordinaire. How are you, Logan?
I'm great. How are you?
Excellent. I love
my other producer extraordinaire.
Some PEs together. PE, physical education, producer extraordinaire. It's a little, don't love that comparison. And the voiceover queen herself, Raina, joining us again. Raina, looking great.
Thank you. That's so nice. I appreciate the love here. Happy to be here.
And people say I'm not nice. Can you believe it? I mean, they're probably right. But anywho, so we're on season 1, all about Am I the Asshole? So someone posted this story. They want to know if they're the asshole. Are they not the asshole? Does everyone suck or does no one suck? So let's get into this one. The title is, Would I Be the Asshole? So it's a little projective assholery. So would I be the asshole for not inviting an aunt who didn't invite me to her wedding? So basically,
these are always so tough.
Basically, the aunt did not invite her to the wedding. So she's like, would I be the asshole or not? So let's get into this. So 24-year-old female says, and let's give her a name. Let's say Cindy. I don't know why Cindy came to my head, but Cindy's aunt, who's 43, got married 10 years ago and had a no young kids rule. So at the time, Cindy would have been 14. So Cindy and her younger cousin, who's 20, were the only ones left out. Oh, so I guess 10 at the time. So a 14-year-old and a 10-year-old were the only ones left out, as everyone else was 18 and above. So that's kind of weird off the bat. I get if you don't want to have all the young kids, but if the youngest kids are 10 and 14, that's a little weird for no kids. I don't know.
If there's only 2 of them.
Like I get a 5-year-old is like, Mommy, give me cake. I mean, that just
and maybe if there was like 10 14-year-olds, that's a little different. But
see, I even think like, wouldn't the 10, 14-year-olds at the wedding just hang out by themselves in the corner on Instagram or something?
But why do you want that at your wedding?
I mean, if it's family, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a 10. I feel like Olive Garden right now, but it's family. It's
when you're here, you're family.
When you're at an Italian wedding, you're family. Okay, so she says this was the only child-free wedding in the family thus far. And something to note, she's like, they have Hindu weddings, and Hindu weddings typically apparently last 5 days. It's a huge family affair when you have a Hindu wedding. There's dancing, they do the drawings on the skin. They have singing. It's not a sit down ceremony. You mingle and eat. So as modern Hindus, apparently this family has incorporated bachelor receptions. Just so kids as young as 6 to 8 can be integral parts. So this isn't just like a typical wedding. This is like culturally a giant affair type thing. So the aunt's celebration, where she didn't invite the 10-year-old and the 14-year-old, was, quote, supposedly a blast. And to this day, we keep hearing stories from older cousins about the bonding experience they shared, since we all stay in different parts of the country and some even out of the country. Okay, that felt a little dramatic to me. It's not like they did like a spiritual 14-day silent retreat. I don't know. I the bonding experience, I mean, maybe, but little.
So this is all the older people that are like, wow, it was such a fun time.
Mm-hmm.
We though, that's such a bummer.
Yeah.
Coming from like, I was too young. I've been told that personally. So, and that is, it sucks. I mean, my uncle was like, don't talk to me until you're 21. So, and he meant it.
Raina's uncle, is he the asshole? Next time.
Shout out.
We don't even need a whole episode for that.
Raina's like, we need a whole season. That's season 2.
But the feeling of intentionally being left out by someone else's decision is very tough. But I'm sure there's more to this, but
there is a little bit more.
A little bit of a chord with me.
Yeah. So Cindy, who was 14, didn't get invited to the kids-free Hindu wedding spectacular that apparently it was so legendary that everyone talks about it, and it was a bonding experience. I don't know. I've never been to a wedding and been like, this was a bonding experience, but I guess if it's a 5-day affair, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So Cindy, she's getting married in 2024, which I'm like, girl, it's only 2021. That is how do you know you're going to get married in 3 years? That is a long engagement period, I think. But anywho, and then Cindy said she's getting married in one of the better states of the country. And I'm imagining
You mean Ohio?
I'm imagining it's America, because how many countries have states? And I'm like, what's a better state? Like, so is it a California wedding? Is it like I don't know.
I hear better state. Ohio is the best. So, I mean, my brain is like, they're getting married in Cleveland. So,
oh my God, at the art museum. Oh, beautiful.
Could you imagine?
Think of where someone would be like this extra about the children thing. Like, what rich part of the country would someone?
I would probably say
drama.
California.
California,
like wine country out there.
Get this though. She says we're flying in all of out-of-state family, kids and all. It's going to be expensive, but we earn enough, and it's a once in a lifetime celebration. We have 4 years to save. So they not only are they going to be inviting all these people to this quote better state,
they're inviting
paying people. They're going to be covering the flights for people.
Yeah.
That's insane. Because every wedding I've been to, I have to show up with some, crate and barrel bowl or some shit. I never get paid to go to a wedding.
So, yeah.
And you got to pay for your own hotel, your own transportation, like your own dress or suit or whatever. So
and then sometimes I'm not even given a +1. And that sucks, because you go to the wedding and you're like, who doesn't
stand by yourself at the dance floor? Like,
yeah, you're just like shimmying alone in the corner. But no, truthfully, like, no offense, but like wedding hookups are like the best. So like to have your +1 and your boo, and you're like, we got the hotel, we got the jacuzzi on floor 6 on the Hilton.
And maybe that's why the aunt did not want kids at the wedding.
She's like, it's going to be a bonding experience at the 6 jacuzzi. Okay, back on track. We are being derailed, and I love it. Okay, so Cindy says she still hasn't gotten over the fact that the aunt didn't invite me, even though I believe we were old enough to behave. I don't want to invite my aunt or pay for her tickets and stay, even though she's doing it for all the other uncles and aunts. Would I be an asshole if I go with my plan to not invite her? My mother thinks I should let the issue go, but my younger cousin, who was 10, supports me. And then that's kind of where she talks about, just a side note, this is a Hindu wedding, and so culturally it's a giant affair, multi-days, etc. So with that being our story, Reina, what is some of your initial impressions of this case?
It is in my heart. I would also hold on to this. I would hold this very close to me. But being a little bit older now, I do realize the etiquette that is required at times to involve family that you don't like, or go to that, cookout that you really don't want to see your cousin there. But it's just, that's part of just being an adult at times. It is her wedding, and, obviously Cindy's aunt did her own wedding. She did 100% what she wanted if she was able to convince mom, to not bring those kids. But it's interesting that her mom is siding with the aunt here. She just, you know what I mean? She's not doing, she's like, oh yeah, I'll hold my kids back from coming to your wedding. But then when her child is having a wedding, it's like, you better invite them. Yeah, right. Exactly. Mm-hmm. She's kind of, the mom is really picking a side here.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I understand like why couples choose to have kid-free weddings, especially when you have loads of young children, and sometimes those parents want a break. I totally get it. But like, can you be surprised that the 14-year-old who was not invited is a little miffed and is a little upset at that? Like, I get that too. So
that's totally where I'm at. Like, I just think if I was left out of this huge family experience where they spent days and days hanging out with each other and like, just having the time of their lives, like whatever, and everyone still talks about it, I would be so upset, and I would carry that with me. Like, even if you got along with your aunt afterwards, you know, you would still always feel that way. You'd still always think like, well, she didn't want me there. So, you know, like, why would I want her there?
Yeah.
Are we ready for what the thread said?
Are we voting first or are we doing thread?
We'll vote.
Yeah,
We'll vote
okay.
after. Let's see what the thread said. The
Okay.
thread.
I know I'm easily persuadable.
I know, right?
Okay.
The thread said asshole. They said this is petty. The top comment. Here's the top comment. Having a child-free wedding is probably largely the reason it was a blast. You would have been old enough to behave, but having ninth graders around definitely changes the vibe. And there were probably children on the groom's side that also didn't get the attendance and the invite. You're being petty. But the second biggest comment is a not the asshole. And I think this is a good point. Having a child-free wedding is a risky choice because it's pretty foreseeable that people are going to feel excluded and resentful, particularly teenagers. Weddings usually end up being family reunions of sorts, especially in this case, 5-day, Hindu wedding celebration. So I can see why teenagers would be resentful of being lumped in with children and being excluded from making family memories. So Aunt rolled the dice, and now people that she excluded don't want to include her. Shrug.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Just because, I mean, it is your wedding, and if it's really that big of an emotional struggle you're having, then you should just go with where you're at mentally, because you're going to miss out on memories with other people, and now you're going to include those same people in your memories. And all you really can do is look back on these things and as we get older and stuff like that. But Logan, what do you think? I'm so torn.
I'm gonna say there's no assholes here, which might be, but as the aunt, I totally get wanting to have a kid-free wedding. Totally understand that. That was her decision. It's her day. But also, as the new bride, what was her name? Cindy? Cindy? As Cindy, you're burned by the aunt. So you're going to be upset. And again, this is her day now. So she's allowed to invite who she wants and who she doesn't want. It doesn't matter if everyone else is invited. If you don't get along with that person, you shouldn't have to invite them to your wedding just because, maybe I'm not a big enough person to be like, just do it just to be nice. But I think no one's the asshole. I think everyone's justified in what they think. And I don't think she should be able or should have to invite her aunt.
I think if this was just a one-day wedding affair, this wouldn't have really had the impression. But I do think that she missed out. She feels like she's missed out for years, unfortunately. And while I'd hope that she by now would be over it, she's not. And I think for her health, Cindy out there, you got to move on. If you don't invite the aunt, that's fine, I think, but you gotta just get over that fear that like, I missed out. Like, it's going to happen. I'm sorry. I agree. I'm going to say not the asshole. I'm going to say not the asshole because I think the aunt, if it was just a 10 and a 14-year-old that didn't get the invite, that's a little stupid to me. It sounds like from her post, and maybe I could be wrong. It sounds like there weren't really any young children. It was just a 10 and a 14-year-old. And at that point, I just think that they should have been there. I don't know.
I do agree with that a little bit, but
it's tough. Aren't these tough?
That's hard.
Okay. So our final votes, Raina.
Not the asshole.
Not the asshole. Logan.
I'm saying there's no assholes here.
No assholes here. I'm going to go not the asshole, but I do wonder, are we missing a little bit of context? Like, were there 106-year-old kids? And that's why the aunt said no kids. I want to know more about that family dynamic.
Because what about the groom side? Did he have nieces, nephews, other young children?
I want to know how many kids were not invited to the life-changing family bonding experience that was this aunt's wedding. That 10 years later,
I wasn't invited now.
She still feels like pissed 10 years later. It must have been a banger. I'm just like Beyonce showed up and did like a live performance of Love on Top. I don't know, man.
Could you imagine? But how many things happened when you were 14 that you still think about today? Because I could name a list of things that I just think about daily that I'm like, wow, really ticked me off.
I gotta be honest. I'm like a goldfish. I can barely remember what happened 3 days ago, let alone when I was 14.
Okay, again, maybe I'm just not the bigger person here, and I need to let things go.
I'm physically the bigger person if that works. I don't know. All right, we have committed another judgment. Cindy, it looks like we're all pretty pro Cindy. Logan has a little sympathy for the ant. Me and Raina, we're still a little unsure with the ant. But, well, that's our episode. We'll see you next time.
Judgment Day is a podcast by Starvolt Studios. Judgment Day is executively produced by Matt Rebar, Logan Molnar, and Raina Butel. For more awesome content, just go to starvoltstudios.com or on their Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter page.